Good greetings, and what's been a diabolical week for New South Wales Rugby League. We are back. We're so brave. Footy IQ, Chris Danks, Blake Austin. How are you going?
I'm well. It's good to see you taking a few more risks with your fashion.
A bit Larry today, you like?
Different.
Yeah.
Very 1980s. I don't even know how to describe it.
I feel like we should go bowling afterwards.
I think we should. The good news about bowling now, you don't have to change your shoes in most of the places. I never really understood why you had to put them shoes on.
Really?
Do you reckon they're just taking the piss out of us all that time?
They're mad. Chuck those shiny shoes on.
But what do you need them for?
To look mad.
Yeah, okay. I think they'll take the mick.
Mate, how was footy on the weekend? How was footy for you?
I played a game out at Ourimbah, actually. I heard one of the best sledges that I've ever heard. I was told by a drunk man on the hill that if I kept tackling like that, I was going to hurt my finger because I was very grabby. I need to be careful continuing to play footy for a couple of reasons. I'm losing credibility with my kids. So obviously giving my kids a lot of advice on how they should play footy. And they're watching their dad out on the footy field, nothing like he used to be. I think I laid on 5 tries, just to be fair, yesterday.
Okay.
But I also let in 2 beaming, crappy tries. I had their biggest, strongest player for Ourimbah was a left centre that he tapped the ball and come at me once, and he nearly hurt my finger trying to grab him, and then I let in a second one. So it was funny because I missed a tackle, looked up in the stands, and for some weird reason, the first person I locked eyes with was my daughter. Obviously, I'd gone to her soccer match that morning and had a lot of advice for her. So she sort of looked at me and shook her head like, you can't let it try in like that. But all in all, a good experience. We snuck out of Ourimbah with a win. So I've only played 4 games this year, 5 games. We've won 4 of them. So I'd say that's a pretty good strike rate.
Potentially the difference. Well, those who can, and those who don't, become footy analysts, footy IQ. The Blues. I know we are, on the time of recording, it's been 5 days. Everyone's had their opinions on it. Everyone's calling for Laurie Daly's head, no big surprise. If we are to get a new coach, it has to be a former player, I think most of us would agree. Does it have to be a former Origin player? Because Gus wasn't.
The scariest part for me is there's no obvious candidate.
Yeah.
The other scary part for me is the Blues have got a lot of legends and clever minds, but they're all players that played a game that doesn't exist anymore. So with the utmost respect, when you're thinking about the brains trust of Queensland, you're thinking Cronk, Smith, Slater, Thurston. Like they have modern day players that have played this version of the game, and they're all in and around camp. It's not hard to tell that Billy Slater has a game plan that is super clear. Everyone knows how to execute it. And it does involve a lot of block plays, which a lot of the Blues greats believe you can't have success with on the Origin arena.
Yeah, I've bet a lot of that this week.
So the scary part for me is in the wash up to this game, a lot of the Blues legends' thoughts have been you need to be tougher, you need less structure, you need to just get out there and throw the ball around. But I'm pretty sure that I'd be not far off the mark. I reckon that's what Laurie's telling his team to do. I think if you've got a team with Nathan Cleary in it and you can't have him comfortable and playing well, your game plan's probably got something wrong with it. Structure is so important. I haven't played Origin, I get it, but anyone that says you don't need structure, like I was a player that the way I played my footy, you'd probably think I don't like structure, but I needed structure more than anyone. Because if you told me to get out there and throw the ball around, I'd mess everything up. You know what I mean? I needed to understand when I was getting the ball and how I was getting the ball. And whenever you did that for me, my athletic ability sort of took over. I remember going to Leeds, and it was brought up so many times in the preseason that Leeds' DNA was just getting out there and throwing the ball around. And they were like, yeah, this should suit you, Blake. And I'm like, no, it doesn't, because I'm an idiot. So you need to make things really clear for me. The scary thing about our next coach is there's no obvious one. That's what's scary for me. Because I think Billy Slater, and a little bit the same with Kieran Foran, I think we need to change our opinions on what a coach is.
Okay.
Kieran Foran, I reckon, is a really nice mix of man manager, but also in touch with the modern game and understanding how to break apart the modern game. But Billy Slater, exactly the same. You can't tell me that he's not a tactical genius. They look like a team the last 2 games that have had a game plan. We look like a team that tried to piece together the best players in our state and ask them to figure out the rest.
Because a lot of the feedback written over the past week has been that Nathan Cleary, who had who played at like he would at Clubland and tried to get his centres one-on-one, but everyone at Origin level, they can tackle one-on-one. So that just doesn't work there. Does that line up with what you're saying?
Well, I think a clear example from game 1 to game 2, I think Laurie and his team clearly seen that we had to offer more in the backfield. Because if you watch where, in game 2, everywhere Queensland made us pay started on their 30 or 40 metre line. They got us on the back foot coming out of their end with genuine shape. We never really have genuine shape coming out of our backfield because we have a fullback that likes to spend all his time in the middle of the field. Kalen Ponga hovers around back rowers and puts fear in his opposition halves. Like if you think about the amount of pressure we've put Sam Walker under, it's near, like he'd be going, what the freaking hell was all the hype around Origin? How easy is this? Like for me as a half, when you're defending, if you look up and all you've got in front of you is a back rower with no fullback or half out the back, you're going, all I need to do is get off my line and make my tackle. The moment that a fullback starts to hover, you are on high alert. You're making sure your back row is doing his job. You're getting your centres and your wingers ready because you're actually going to have a decision to make. So I reckon from game 1 to game 2, they said we need to offer more, but then they didn't give them any plan to do that. I reckon in the backfield, you need all the same layers and shape that you'd have in good ball, but you've got to go backwards to go forward. So you've got to go 5 or 6 metres deeper and you've got to get your speedy men the ball. Tolu Kola's the fastest centre in the game, but we haven't figured out how to find him the ball. You look at the best example for me was the ball that Nathan Cleary throws to Katoni Staggs early on. Now, I know Katoni gets all the blame for that and you can't throw a ball over the sideline, but that isn't the pressure you can put your outside backs under in coming out of your own end. You need to get tighter and you need to give them layers. Because what layers? So when I say layers, shape fullback out the back, what that is, that's your form of protection. So the line can't get as aggressive when they've got a double D situation to defend. Because if they get aggressive, they can't check and release. So they have to be more passive, which means then you take the meters. I just hear a lot of greats from the Blues. They fear the modern day shape. And I get it. You can't just be all out shape, but you also have to have that shape. You just need to know how to use it to your advantage.
I do question. So, everyone's always asked if you played Origin before, they go, well, what would you change? Everyone seems to have an opinion. Nobody really wants to put their hand up for it. It seems like it'd be a paying job, but I don't know if it's a job many people want in New South Wales, to be the coach.
It'd be a dangerous one to take. I reckon it's Matty John's reluctance.
Okay.
And it's almost like I'll have a dig at myself here. Like it's so easy to sit here in front of the camera
of course,
and say all the right things about how we should be playing footy. If I went then and was the Blues coach for 3 years and couldn't get the job done, then I'm just another idiot that can't get the job done. Like I reckon we do have a few legends that have that reluctance. But I guess you don't know what kind of impact you're going to have at that level. I think we definitely need Joey around the camp. I think he's our greatest ever. But I don't think it'd be getting out there and tossing the ball around is not how that's not the modern game. There's no way, there's no one on this planet that could convince me that in Origin you don't need structure and you don't need shape, because you 100% do. I reckon also the Blues don't play anything like Penrith ball. I know they keep trying to say it's Penrith ball, but the only reason they say it's Penrith ball is because Nathan and Isaiah are there. We don't play Penrith ball because Penrith don't have a fullback that sits at the middle of the field for 60 minutes of the game. He has to be more heavily involved in the shape. We need more layers coming out of our end. Because I don't think any team was better than the other at their good ball attack. That's goal line. It's very difficult when you've got 13 superstars on the field and you're starting from... The way you make teams pay is you speed the ruck up coming out of your own end. But we didn't have any effective plan to do that.
There's been... I want to ask you about what your team will be for Game 3. But everyone's been talking about the Sam Walker no-look pass. And watching it in real time, I was like, Staggs got burned there. Ponga just ran straight around him. I watched it again this morning. I don't think it was that bad.
Ponga was the difference there. Yeah. So Nathan Cleary actually got a lot of criticism for that defensive effort as well. But if you watch it back, Nathan sees the pass and goes, I can go and shut this down. He forces Sam to pass earlier than what he would have expected. So I reckon if Nathan defended that another 10 times, at least 4 or 5 of them, he would have forced Sam into stuffing up the pass. Sam nails it, so we're not talking about a nice play from Nathan. We're saying he got it wrong. I will say that Nathan rushed Sam to the point that it made him play a step or two earlier than what he had planned, which then gave Katoni Staggs time to see the play unfold and check and release, double D. He actually defended it really well. I'm so big on your fullback's routes out the back. If you watch the route of Kalen Ponga, he goes more C-line arc rather than straight to the winger. Straight to the winger would have made Katoni's job easier. He just stretches that arc a little bit more to stay away from Katoni long enough to make it dangerous. And then it was just a one-on-one miss. So it was actually defended really well, right up until the point he had to make his tackle.
Yep.
By that point, it just became a bit of a race, and it was probably a dead heat, but then Kalen was strong enough to pull out of the tackle. So you're exactly right. There will be people that say that Nathan should have held his line, but if Nathan held his line, Sam would have dug all the way into the line and played when he wanted to play, and then it would have been very, very hard to defend from there. Like, Katoni wouldn't have been able to get off his lead if that was the case. So you could argue that Nathan done a good job in speeding the play up and forcing it to happen earlier than what Sam wanted it to. And then in the end, Kalen was just too good for Katoni.
Too good.
What a play. The bravery in that pass. It's a blind pass.
The biggest stage.
If anyone's going to... Like I said, but man, we haven't turned the heat on Sam once.
Yep.
And I find that crazy. The way that you scare a half in defence is you put a fullback around him that makes you really nervous. Because that's why... Why do you think Nathan was so nervous in D all night? And I get it, we don't have a Kalen Ponga, but Teddy can make them halves nervous out in them spaces too. Because even if Sam Walker double Ds it and defends it quite well,
yep.
Teddy is such a handful. He'll be shoving him off, shaking him off, stepping back. So we still need a lot more shape, in my opinion.
Is there a danger that we go, all right, great, we need to play differently and we try to replicate Queensland, even though we're a different team?
No, because Queensland also aren't doing, like, they haven't pioneered anything.
Yeah.
Like, Queensland are just playing the way that every NRL team plays. I think that the knock on my opinion of this would be, once again, that I haven't played Origin, so maybe I don't get it. But I think the Origin arena is, like, we are so much closer to the NRL footy than we've ever been. Like, a lot of people's opinion on Origin is based on a game that was 30 years ago that you could punch your way to victory.
Yep.
You could be tough. Like, you watch Wally Lewis highlights. I haven't seen a highlight where you go, how silky was that guy? But what he was the utmost competitor. He was in your face. He was confrontational. So what I mean by that, we're seeing sin bins, penalties. Like, the game now at Origin is like NRL. It's just at a super, super fast pace. I reckon you could nearly count it. Like, I reckon if the Blues want to learn lessons on how to play, Origin, go back and watch the last 2 or 3 grand finals. Find out how Reece Walsh, find out how Nathan Cleary, Dylan Edwards, what was the success they had in them games? Because I reckon Origin now resembles an NRL grand final. It's no longer so far detached from the week to week footy, just because it's not what it used to be.
Okay.
You can't punch your way to an Origin trophy anymore. You can't fight your way out of all your problems. Like, back then, tossing the ball around and punching a few people in the head might have been enough to win. You need a genuine plan now. So
with that in mind, it's typically me giving my Origin side.
Let's go. So I've got Tommy Turbo at fullback.
Oh, okay.
I'm throwing him. I want a different style of fullback.
Yep.
All right. I nearly went Edwards, but I'm like, if we're not going Tedesco, we need to go. We need to go Brave.
Not a Tommy Turbo hater, but is there not the concern that he
got cover on my 6-man bench?
Okay.
Brian Toto keeps his spot. Marky Mark keeps his spot.
Nice.
My centres are Stephen Crichton and Bradman Best.
Why Crichton?
Because he's a big body, and I think in the big moments he comes up with big plays.
Yep.
He's been down. I reckon his body's somewhat back. Big body. Let's throw him in there. I had Latrell. And I'll have Latrell if he plays, or if he says he's ready, he comes back in. But he left training early this morning.
That's correct.
So Bradman Best is who I've thrown in my team.
Nice.
Big game plays, played in a decider before. Ethan Strange comes back in at 6. You're probably no surprise. Nathan Cleary is my 7.
Yep.
If you really want Moses in your team, it's at the expense of Nathan.
Okay.
Moses is going to be on my 6-man bench, but if you want him to be a starter, it's tap Nathan and tell him to move, and we'll put Mitch in, but we're not having Mitch and Nathan anymore, in my opinion. Let's put a 6, let's put a 7. Isaiah Yeo is now an Origin prop. He's not a 13.
Yep.
Payne Haas starts in the front row. Reece Robson keeps his 9 position because he defends really well in the opening exchanges.
Okay.
And we're going to need that again from him. Hudson Young and Liam Martin start in the back row. Hudson keeps left, Martin on the right. Martin, we're telling him, hey, we need 18 minutes of the craziest version of yourself that we've ever seen. I think Martin's much better than the other two at being really aggressive, but also just staying under the line.
100%.
He knows how to do it in a cleaner way.
Especially against Munster.
And then Cam Murray gets his 13 jersey finally.
Like
I've got a Smokey at 14, and I reckon a Smokey going into a decider might be good because he doesn't carry the scars of anyone else.
Yep.
And he knows this field, and I talk about Suncorp Stadium really well because he's played there quite a bit. And his name is Kurt Donahue. He gives us 13 cover, and he gives us genuine 9 cover.
Yeah.
He's a competitor. He'll get out, and the energy that he'll bring around the squad, I reckon, gets him picked in the team. So Kurt Donahue. Mitch Barnett has been rushed back into my team. I dropped him for his mate Jackson Ford.
Yep.
But now Mitch gets a recall. So Mitch comes back in.
Yep.
Spencer Lenu joins my bench because you need a villain. And going to Suncorp, we need punch off our bench, and we just haven't had it. Yep. I think Adam's been stuck between trying to be really impactful, but trying to make his lungs last as long as he can as well. He only got 8 minutes last game, so clearly Laurie doesn't know how to get the best out of him. So let's go Spencer Lenu for 15 minutes. Scotty Drink, Hamoli Olukwatu. Do you like what I've done there? You were about to light up then. Hamoli Olukwatu gets my final bench spot. So when Liam Martin needs his spell after 22 minutes, Hamoli comes on. Liam can come into the middle rotation if we need him.
Yep.
Or he comes back on to finish the game at back row. Scotty Drinkwater is on my bench.
Okay.
Because if anything happens to Turbo, I want a similar fullback coming on the field. He's also a bit of a Reece Walsh, bit of a trump card. And then my final bench spot goes to Mitch Moses. So if we have anything go wrong in the halves, that'd be my team.
I don't mind it.
That'd be my team.
Okay.
I've changed. We need fullbacks that can put plays on.
Yep.
Because if you don't agree with that, you're kidding yourself. Ethan Strange, Hamoli gets a recall. He'll play big minutes, but Martin will be the antagoniser early on.
I like that. Casey McLean just couldn't find a spot for him?
Actually, that'd be. So
I'm not a hater on Buffy.
So I had Latrell in at centre.
Yeah.
So if Latrell's fit, I couldn't find a spot for McLean.
Yep.
But then I had to quickly think of a replacement, and Bess is who I wrote down. But you could very easily twist my arm and say Casey McLean comes in at centre.
Okay. Donahue's made something you've been simmering on for a while.
I just think he's got Origin written all over him.
Yep.
He's the type of player that Queensland would have picked, I wouldn't say by now, but he certainly would have been deeper in the conversations by now. Very Max Plathy.
Yeah.
Do you like how I put a Y on the end of Max Plath? I think he's a freak, man. I think he's such a competitor. I think he's so underrated in what he's doing there at the Dolphins. Played predominantly 13 on the weekend against the Tigers and done a really good job. Played like an extra 7.
Yep.
And you could argue we don't need that in the Blues setup. But what I've tried to do is I've tried to pick a bench that has an absolute clear and easy role. Because what Laurie's done, he's picked so many players that have so many different attributes that he just hasn't known how to. Yeah. So if you've got Spencer, it's very clear when Spencer's coming on, how long is he staying on for. If you've got Barnett, same thing. If you've got Yo at prop, very clear, very precise. So he's had a lot of versatile players, but he's been clueless on how to take advantage of that. Victor Radley, I think, is unlucky. Thought game 1 brilliant, game 2 got his emotions wrong.
But that's part of the buy-in for Victor Radley, though.
Yeah.
Like, you get the good and the bad.
Yeah. So that'd be my team. Moses, it's hard done by being 19th man if you're, a player of his calibre.
Yep.
But you'd certainly rather have him sitting there than not. And as I said, if you genuinely want to see Mitch in a Blues jersey, let's talk about the Nathan v. Mitch debate. Let's not talk about putting 2 halfbacks in our halves for the Blues.
Okay, I can live with that. I can live with it all.
And I hate having a phone involved in my... So I'm going to toss that, because I know you always have one, but that's now me done with the phone.
On to 19s then. We were talking up New South Wales last week, and a few Queensland players. Respect to Queensland, won the men's, won the women's, obviously won actual State of Origin. One player who I had overlooked, who I've got to give massive raps to, is Bishop Neal from the Wars, who was an absolute wrecking ball and I believe has only just turned 18.
He's a beast. Warriors product. I thought Tupou Francis was unbelievable as well.
Tupou Francis, yeah, it was lock, yeah.
Yeah, very good lock with the mullet.
Yeah.
Funny story about him. I remember being a Raiders NRL player and sitting around the locker room. We used to watch his videos and laugh around the locker room. So he was a young kid. I reckon he was 10 or 11 at the time. And he used to create videos taking the piss out of his dad. And he had like a real Bogany / Lebanese / Tongan accent.
Yep.
And he just used to take the piss out of his dad. It was a little bit like an angry, what was that other angry dad vibe?
Yeah.
But anything his dad would say, this 10-year-old would just take the absolute piss out of him. He was so funny. He had such a good aura on camera for a young kid.
He would have been like one of the first influencers. That'd be like
I reckon it was before its time. Funny enough, I wrote to him about it, I reckon 2 months ago, and I said, you have to put this to bed for me, because I am so certain that you were the kid that used to get on and take the piss out of your dad. And he said, yeah, that was me. So he was destined for greatness from a young age. He's a tough, I think he's a Hopewadi relation.
Okay.
Because he's Tongan Lebanese. I think he might be a Hopewadi relation, which we need to study on that family and how they've come up with the athletes that they've come up with. But you're right, Bishop Neal, very much in the vein of like a young Sonny Fye.
Yeah.
Obviously, rest in peace, Sonny Fye. But he was a young tearaway back row that had so much raps on him. Just been a big physical presence, and Bishop Neal's been that. Every extra step they've thrown at him, he's passed with flying colours. I don't see a world where he doesn't debut in the NRL this year. He's a freak.
It's amazing being able to watch the 19s, because in a few years you're probably going to see these great players finally hit the NRL level. And I bring this up because obviously Zane Harrison had himself.
Oh, what a player Zane Harrison
A
is.
weekend. How I remember it is he was the 7th for New South Wales for 2 years. He wasn't. He was a reserve 2024, and then he was the 14 2025 behind a man Mitchell Woods at the Dogs.
Yep.
But he just looks like a stud at the Titans, and maybe it's early days, but it seems like their spine is like solidified here. You got Pascoe, you got Harrison, Campbell, and then Kinney at the back.
I think he spent all of last year against men in the Queensland Cup.
Yep.
And then I think spent the first chunk of this year there. I think if you're feeling like kids are staying in New South Wales or Queensland Cup too long, it's probably the right timing. We've said that earlier on in the year about a few of the stars that we're seeing. I think the fortunes of that club turned when he debuted in Gosford against the Roosters. You got to see straight away that he was really confident in guiding a team around a footy field. He doesn't possess any wonderful attributes. So when I say that, he's not super quick, he's not super physical, but you can tell he's a footy brain. He knows how to get a team around the park. I reckon there was a few fears that we hadn't seen enough change in that organisation under Josh Hannay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that change come. I think the other guy's Oliver Pascoe, because they've got a lot of strike. Having a guy like Oliver Pascoe that just chases everything, like a terrier dog at a bone, I think he's turned it as well. But I do believe that's their spine. Jaden Campbell, I don't see why he couldn't be the best player in the world for a period of his career.
Okay. Still got the years ahead of him.
Crazy. What a player, man. And I just think it took him a few weeks there, because I reckon for a year and a half, he's had to try and put that team on his back.
Yep.
He actually finally sort of figured out how to be a 7, because when you watch him, you're going, he's a 5'8" or a fullback, one of the two. He can't be a 7. But he actually really genuinely, I thought, learned how to guide that team around. His fifth tackle options were quality, just kicked high and long, ran the ball a bit, but also moved the team around. So when Zane come in, I thought it took Jaden, because the first couple of weeks, especially the Gosford game, he kind of got out of Zane Harrison's way, but to the point where he didn't really understand how to have an impact on the game.
Yep.
Fast forward 5 or 6 weeks, and man, Jaden Campbell's last 2 or 3 have been brilliant. On the back of that, Kinney's figured it out. AJ Brimson, I feel awful for him, because he's not a centre, and he deserves a role that's better suited to him. I think he's going to have to leave that club, unfortunately. I think the Bulldogs would kill to have an AJ Brimson. But he's also figured out how to make an impact at centre. He's just one of them players that's an out-and-out footballer. So, but they've, you look at the nucleus of that team, and they've got it in them. I think they need one or two more middle forwards. Arama Howe's another guy on the edge. He come up with a huge play to tie the match. And then Zane Harrison steps up, and as I said, I think he's turned the fortunes. There was a lot of worry that Hannay hadn't instilled enough in him, but since that kid's arrival, they've looked like a footy team. One that's hard to beat, but two that has enough strike to make them a genuine force.
Because, all right, so the Panthers weren't at full strength, and the Broncos aren't the Broncos of old. But back-to-back wins against two big names, there's a lot to like there. I do wonder, just kind of treading over what you were just saying then, how much of it is down to them having like positions sorted. Like Brimson was fullback, Brimson was 5'8", Campbell was around. Now that everyone knows their role, Campbell is signed. Brimson is signed through 2030. So I do wonder who's going to pick him up. Someone will, because he's still got plenty to
he
give.
goes anywhere. Like Perth would jump at him, PNG would jump at him. I don't see why the Dogs wouldn't jump at him. It's probably going to get to a point where Gold Coast have to pick up some of the price tag.
Yeah.
Which would make him clubs should be licking their lips to get their hands on AJ Brimson. I hope the Titans are brave enough to say he could go and be great for another club, because he will go and be great for another club. I don't want them. I think salary cap management they can't anyway, because you could get a centre to do what he's doing for half the price.
Yep.
Like you could probably nearly get your hands on a Shibasaki for 400, 500 grand,
yeah.
a lot less than 850. So there's also young centres, in my opinion, that big athletic things that could do what they wouldn't have the same class as Brimson, but you just can't fill your centre positions with a guy like that. I also think when things are going well, he can hack probably being a centre, but there has to be a part of him when he drives into training every day that goes, I'm on my day, I'm better than probably the fullback and the 5'8" in this club. But over long periods, he hasn't proved to have had it. I think fullback is his spot. You'll have a couple of errors in him every now and then, but so do the best ones. So I'd love for the Titans to be brave enough to sit him down and go, hey, we think you're destined for greatness, and we just don't have a spot here for you to achieve that. So go and be great. Do your best work somewhere else.
Before we finish, we spoke a lot last week about the Dolphins and their cap management. They did great things. Nicarima played lights out on the weekend with a lot of players out. My question's about the other side of the ball with the West Tigers. Earlier this year, we were talking great things about their back rowers and about how well they were doing. And they seem to have fallen off now. Kai Pearce-Paul is injured. He did a pec, I think, around 15. Finu is still there. But they don't seem like they're as effective as they were previously. Do you know why? Do you have any thoughts why?
I think the loss of Adam Dewey, which is crazy, because there was a few weeks there like we thought Jock Madden was Nathan Cleary. And he had a few, and he's still playing decent footy, but it just shows that there's more to, a couple of good games is not that difficult.
Yep.
When you're in good spirits and you've had a good pre-season. Doing it week in, week out is a different story. I mean, I found that more so than anyone. It's a tough position in the halves. I think the Tigers on the weekend there was moments in their game where they looked a little bit more like the crappier teams this year. If you look at I say the crappier teams, the teams that have struggled, that's way too far saying crappier teams, but with the crappier attack, so their setup plays and their shot plays are different. They look different. So for defence, it becomes very easy to defend against a team when you know when their setup plays are and when you know when they're having their actual crack. The best teams right now, their systems mean their setup plays and their shot plays look exactly the same, which means you absolutely have to be switched on every single play. Because if you think it's a setup play and they pull the trigger out the back, they make you pay. And even if they don't score, they generate ruck speed and they all just flood the space then anyway. So you have to play more footy. Or not necessarily play more footy, but you have to be set and ready to go to play more footy. That's how you create and generate ruck speed. The Tigers on the weekend, interestingly, I thought Luai kind of let him take over. He tried to park himself on his left edge.
Yep.
That might be a product of everyone telling him that he's not a 7 and just play like a 6. But I don't think he adapted. I thought it was pretty unfair that. So first of all, it wasn't a forward pass. How the ref called that forward?
You reckon?
That should have been. I don't know if Luai got it down in the end, but no way that was forward. But then in the same play, the independent doctor says Jock Madden's got to go off. He's got a cut on his head. But no one stopped to think, oh, gee, if he's got a cut on his head and we've asked him to go off, maybe there was a penalty there somewhere. So they get a try taken off and they lose their halfback. And then Heath Mason comes onto the field. I think to get Jock Madden back on, they had to burn an interchange card. I don't think they were confident enough in their middles to do that. So that's why Heath Mason saw out the match. But their setup plays and their shot plays looked too different on the weekend. When they were at their best, they still had periods where they were going well and playing that footy yesterday. They moved the ball between the trams.
Yep.
So they move it between the trams, check the short. If it's nothing on they like, they flood back the middle. and then they move to the other tram, check the short. If they don't like, they flub back to the middle. That was their formula early on, and their OBs were, their back rowers, were getting a lot of ball. The game's changed with the way it's been ref. Do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely.
The arms aren't getting waved around as much.
Especially in the last weekend.
Not quite as much crazy fatigue in the game.
Yep.
Because that was suiting the Tigers. Like 30 set restarts in a game was really suiting them. Maybe 10 in a game doesn't suit them as much. But there's a lot of reasons for it. Losing Dewey was a big one.
Still a top 8 chance as well. I mean, it's...
Oh, they can still do it.
I couldn't tell you what's going to happen with the top 8 this year. It's like there's obviously that logjam from 6 till like 10, but...
Could definitely still do it.
I think everyone's got that, even though I think they're 11th, I think everyone's got their... looking over their shoulder at the moment, Melbourne Storm, after they just pieced up the Raiders on the weekend.
Yeah, Raiders' attack was back. That was good.
They were good.
That was good. Ethan Strange back to the left side.
Yeah.
We found out Ricky...
Shout out to Sticky, he listens.
Sticky's a footy IQ fan.
Good man.
But it was nice to see him back there. Their defence wasn't any more consistent, but their attack was certainly a lot better, which if you're going to pay your money to go watch the Raiders, that's what you go watch them for. For a long time now, Raiders are never perfect, but you know you're going to get some box office stuff. So that was good to see. Melbourne Storm will make the finals, and they will play deep into the finals.
Sucked in if you're in the top 4, they're coming for you. I guess before we go, just a shout out to a close personal friend of the show, Todd Payton. We've been barracking for you to get a new deal for a while. Got a 2-year deal with the Cowboys. Great to see. I thought it was great news. Long overdue.
Way overdue, yeah. He's done great things for that club. He loses Drinky next year.
Yeah.
But he's got a good... I thought it was a strange little time frame. So extended for 2 years.
Yes.
The interesting part to that would be, is that driven by Todd or driven by Cowboys? Obviously, we'll never know. But I would have loved to have sent him back in a bit longer and really start to grow with some of the young kids they got coming through.
I think the Cowboys' corporate structure changed in 2028 as well. Like they've got a lot going on in 2 years. I don't know if that affects it or not.
Christian Walsh might be able to help us with that.
I read your Twitter and I just stole your thing. All right.
You do that a lot, man.
I do that.
Maybe when we send him the notes for the show, we pre-warn him that you're going to steal a lot of his ideas.
So let's talk about it. Origin 3 week, we're going to do a bonus episode. We're going to get Christian Welsh on. He's got a lot to say about the business of sport governance. We're going to share some learnings. It's going to be mad. I can't wait.
Beautiful.
Going down in Melbourne, road trip. Until then, we'll see you next week.